So let's finish arriving with 3 deep breaths taken together. That, I am told, brings our energy into harmony. It sort of synchronizes the room so we're all starting in the same place at the same time. So here's 1. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. And one more time. In and out. Thank you, friends, and welcome. Now, I have one teaching point here this morning. How many of you noticed something different in the room? We have 5 chairs in every row in the center section. We've been over 80% full most Sundays, and that means that newcomers maybe will feel like there's not enough room for them. And so we're adding more chairs in order to help relieve some of that pressure in the space. But you know what would make the newcomers or visitors feel even more welcome? If you're in a row and both ends are blocked and there's 1 seat alone in the middle, a newcomer is not going to want to crawl over you. So I'm going to ask, you don't have to move today because we got lots of seats, but going forward, try to squish to the middle and leave an aisle seat open, if you would. Thank you. Sandy?
Good morning. Good morning. Am I on?
You're not yet.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to all of you here in person, to those online, and a special welcome to our guests today, our visitors. My name is Sandy Prinz. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm one of the worship associates this morning, along with Jane King. Also sharing in our service are our minister, Reverend Gail, Lindsay, Marriner, our guest musician, Andre Garcia Nuthman, and a special longtime UU Santa Fe member, Alice Springer. And our thanks once again, great thanks again to our talented tech team, Michael, Jim, and John, and to the many other volunteers who make this service possible, including the greeters, coffee makers, snack providers, parking lot safety team, and office staff. Please join us for our opening song, What Wondrous Love, number 18, in the gray hymn.
Please be seated. Our opening words this morning are from Kathleen McTeague. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, of memory and hope, is hallowed by our presence here together.
Our chalice lighting this morning is from The Light Within Us by Brian C. Lee. We light our chalice as a symbol of the light within us and the life that flows through the world around us. It is our beacon as we search for truth. It is the warmth in our hearts for love, and it is the energy that propels us into action. May we be kindled by our time together.
Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. For it's hard, you will find, to be narrow of mind if you're young at heart. You can go to extremes with impossible schemes. You can laugh when your dreams fall apart at the seams, and life becomes exciting with each passing day. And love is either in your heart or on its way. Don't you know what it's worth? Every treasure on earth. To be young at heart. For as rich as you are, it's much better by far to be young at heart. And if you should survive to 105, look at all you derive just by being alive. Now here's the best part. You had a head start if you are amongst the very young at heart.
And in that lighthearted vein, Sandy and I are going to continue with the reading that many of you will recognize. You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white, and yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age that is right?
In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it might enter the brain. But now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why I do it again and again.
You are old, said the youth, as I mentioned before, and have grown most uncommonly fat. And yet you turned a backed somersault in at the door. Pray, what is the reason for that?
In my youth, said the sage as he shook his gray locks, I kept all my limbs very supple by the use of this ointment. 1 shilling a box. Allow me to sell you a couple.
You are old, said the youth, and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than suet. Yet you finished the goose with the bones and the beak. Pray, how did you manage to do it?
In my youth, said his father, I took to the law and argued each case with my wife, and the muscular strength which it gave to my jaw has lasted the rest of my life.
You are old, said the youth. one would hardly suppose that your eye is as steady as ever. Yet you balanced an eel on the end of your nose. What made you so awfully clever?
I have answered 3 questions, and that is enough, said his father. Don't give yourself airs. Do you think I can listen all day to such stuff? Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs.
Lewis Carroll.
This poem by Lewis Carroll from Alice in Wonderland was a favorite of my mother's, among the many she read to my sister and me in our childhood. It tickled my funny bone enough that I chose it as one of the poems we had to memorize for our 9th grade English class. I'm not sure I'd really thought of it again until it popped into my head as I was contemplating this service, thinking about the suggested title of Growing Older, Growing Bolder. Growing older was obviously easy for me to contemplate. Even growing older with some grace and other positive aspects was pretty easy. But bolder? I certainly wasn't bolder physically. In fact, I've had to give up some physical activities that I've long considered important in supporting issues I believe in, like the recent marches to the Capitol. I can still participate in some activities with adjustments. I have a life filled with family and friends, lots of love and opportunities to give service in less strenuous ways. But it didn't seem that those activities could be described as bold. And then I thought of my mother, who had been a semi-invalid throughout much of her life. She did have a wry sense of humor. I think she enjoyed the poem as a way of laughing at the silliness of judging others, and sometimes ourselves, as individuals in categories set by others, whether by age or physical or mental abilities. Her boldness was in figuring out a way to live her life with meaning and joy in spite of its many difficulties and in spite of the limitations others tried to put on her, perhaps especially in spite of the limitations others tried to put on her. And I realized her sharing had become a core belief of mine as well. I realize I've been growing older as I age. I am more thoughtful in choosing activities which are truly meaningful to me. I've grown bolder in speaking my truth, even at those times when I don't feel very comfortable doing so. I continue to work at improving communication skills, especially with those whose views are very different from mine. My current attempt at growing bolder is in finding ways to inspire myself to fully give myself to what I think is important, even when I'm tired and aching.
So I think that my microphone is feeling tired and achy.
Oh.
So I'm just going to move over.
Sure.
Yeah, you can bring that on up, and we'll shift it after. After my couple of paragraphs here. So aging is a pretty serious topic here at UU Santa Fe. None of us are as young as we used to be, and a lot of us have some silver on the sides. And the stereotypes that our culture has around aging are not useful in any community, but particularly in a community like ours. Over the past 6 months, a number of people have come to me to express your frustration at not being able to participate in civic life in the way you used to. The political disruptions and threats and harm being done by the current administration are terrifying and infuriating, and when you can't do something, it gets really hard to keep paying attention. It's easier just to disconnect. At the same time, the protests and marches that are happening, the ways we have to respond, feel increasingly strenuous for some in our midst, and it can be effortful just figuring out how to show up and park and get yourself to where things are happening. To say nothing about tramping from the Roundhouse all the way over to the Federal Building. And of course, it's not just the protesting that takes more effort. Everything takes more effort. So it's hard to know how to participate in life sometimes in ways that are sustainable and make a difference. Sometimes, though, an attitude shift can help. A good option, as the poem Sandy chose points out, is humor. And so can I tell you how delighted I was on Thursday evening at the Good Trouble rally to discover that the raging grannies in their comical hats and their little old lady outfits were part of the program? There they were, leading the portion of the crowd who were not tramping across the plaza to the Federal Building, as we sang old familiar melodies with new politically astute lyrics. Now, I will check in with my friends who are part of the Grannies and let you know if they're going to provide that golden alternative for folks with limited energy and mobility at future events, all right? Because while one group traipsed over to the other side of the plaza, there was a small group that stayed and sang. And both of them were equally meaningful and lighthearted ways of participating. Funny, creative, age inclusive, mobility inclusive, and to the point. One of the things I like to remind myself is that limitations prompt creativity. Don't give up. Sandy?
The world is busy and we are easily distracted from important things. So we created a Sunday ritual to remind ourselves of our important commitments. We place 4 stones in our candle bowl to remind us that we are committed to honoring the peoples and cultures who preceded us in this place, that we live sustainably and regeneratively on the earth, that we will work for peace in our lives and across cultures, that we will participate actively in our democracy. May our intentions shape our actions and our world.
We set aside a few minutes every Sunday for the sharing of sorrows and joys. And I'm going to hand this microphone Let me just hand the whole thing to you. You can put it together, and then I'll put it on again after Joys and Sorrows. Thank you. So we set aside a few minutes every Sunday to share the milestones in our lives, the joys, the sorrows, the excitement, knowing that joys that are shared are multiplied and sorrows that are shared are easier to carry. So Nancy and Will Fulton ask for your thoughts and prayers for their brother-in-law, Jack Stacy, so that he may have a peaceful passing. Our hearts go out to you and to him. And Katie writes, our love and grief are with the Garcia family for the loss of their beloved father and husband, Roland. We have birthdays that need a candle. Coming up, Leon Winston, Carol Matheson, Anna Sevis, Joan Farnham, and Dominique Mazot celebrate birthdays. We wish you a very happy birthday. And we have just a few visitors this morning. If you are feeling brave, go ahead and wave when I call your name. If you are a little more introverted and would like to just pass as part of the crowd, don't wave, but that doesn't guarantee that no one will say hi to you after the service. So we have with us this morning Kim Vivian. Kim, welcome, and Larry Lee. Good morning. Welcome. and Susan Kurtenbach, way over there. Welcome. We hope you'll stay and join us for coffee after the service. All right. Can you light one more candle for us? For the sorrows and joys that we have heard, and for those that we carry in our hearts as yet unspoken. And now I would invite us all to sing Spirit of Life. It's 1, 2, 3 in the gray book if you need the words. Otherwise, feel free just to close your eyes and sing along. Resting on the echoes of the music, let's move into a time of quiet and contemplation. I invite you to close your eyes if that is comfortable for you, to take a deep breath and to let your body relax. Breathe, and let your breath be deep and easy. Breathe, and let your thoughts drift. Breathe, and feel your heart begin to soften and open until it can cradle all of the feelings that are part of being human, all of the joys and the sorrows, all the worry, all the frustration, all the hope, all the delight and beauty. And know that as we sit here together breathing in the quiet, none of us has to carry the weight of the world by ourselves. We are held in this space, in the affection and regard of the other members of our community. We do not have to carry anything alone. Breathe, friends. And as we rest together in the quiet, I have asked Alice to share something with us about one of her mentors in this art of growing older that we are reflecting on today.
My great-grand Aunt Amelia McIntyre, who lived to 101, was my favorite aunt from early childhood into my adult years and remains so in memory. Aunt Millie, as the whole family knew her, homesteaded in Chehalis, Washington, cooked for Northwest logging camps, and plowed a field with her mules, Joe and Bonnie, the morning before she gave birth to her daughter Edna. She served as the Democratic Precinct Committee chair into her late 80s, loved Zane Grey novels, especially New Riders of the Purple Sage, played the harmonica, and had pierced ears, the first I ever saw, that were always dressed in amethysts or opals. She was often the adult who rode the train or the Greyhound bus with me from my grandma's house back home, where I shared my bed and she told me stories into the night. She was the best hugger. And she gave me my first puppy. Later, blind from cataracts, she continued as an example of someone who just accepted her life as it was and continued to be active and upbeat. Until her death, she was a lively conversationalist, When she met my new husband, she regaled him with some tunes on her harmonica and shared early years stories with us. On top of all that, she tore old house dresses into strips, sewed them together on her treadle singer, and then crocheted them into rugs. We all had at least one. As I've grown older, Aunt Millie comes to mind. The way she moved through her long life with a positive sense of being. I try to do that, though stiff joints and less stamina and great despair about the state of the world sometimes makes getting out of bed really difficult. I'm not sure I want to live to be 101, but I sure hope I have inherited a little bit of Aunt Millie's spunk.
I love that story when Alice shared it with me. And it made me wonder, friends, do you have a role model for growing older? Take a minute and sink back into that meditative state and just see who comes to mind. Who do you know, or did you know, who aged well, who remained interesting and engaged? Take a few moments to recall the great Aunt Millies in your life. And if one doesn't come immediately to mind, look around the room. Because not only do we have role models that we pattern ourselves on, completely unbeknownst to us sometimes, we are the role models for others.
Du holde Kunst in wie viel grauen Stunden, wo mich des Lebens wilder Kreis umstrickt. Hast du mein Herz so warmer Lieben zunden, hast mich in eine bessere Welt entrückt, in eine bessere Welt entrückt. Oft hat ein Seufzer deine Harfe entflossen, ein süßer, heiliger Akkord von dir. Den Himmel bessere Zeiten mir entschlossen, du holde Kunst, ich danke dir dafür. Du holde Kunst, ich danke dir.
Amen. Jane? So, one of the reasons I have so many guests helping out this morning is because it's kind of presumptuous, perhaps, for someone in her 60s to be reflecting and advising on how we grow bolder as we get older. And so I decided I needed some help. So, that's all three of our guests.
The Gift of Years by Joan Chittister. The sense of play The quality in us that really keeps us young, after years of having been largely ignored, has been sapped of its electric edge. It may even take a while to retrieve it, but retrieve it we must if we are to let age have free rein in us. Age is meant for the revival of the spirit. Age is meant to allow us to play with ideas, with projects, with friends, with life. One of the better gifts of growing older is that time becomes more meaningful. Time now becomes a companion on the way. We are aware of it always, hovering over us like a chilling mist, a warming sun, waking us to the power of the immediate. Moments are not lived casually once we approach old age. Now they are savored. Every layer of them is milked, wrung out, and relished. Never has the present had more spice. Never has every day been more delicious, more painful, more liberating, more worrisome, more completely drained of every minute than when we begin to count the ones that may be left to us. Never have our spirits been more alive. There is actually no time to waste anymore. The now is no longer one moment on the way to another one. It is everything there is to life. When we learn to sink into the moment with that much passion, that much pure, unadulterated sensuousness, we finally learn to be alive. All the rest of life has been for the sake of coming to this time. Everything else has been pure practice for this time. Simply gestures of what it is to live fully. It is only in the present that we learn to live, and it is the present that is the focus of old age. We live here, now, only here, and oh, so deliberately so. All of life has not deserted us. In fact, maybe we have never in our lives known so much real life before this. Now we can sit with it, see its implications, become intoxicated with its meaning.
Thank you, Jane.
So, the importance of a sense of humor, the comfort of having, and the challenge of being good role models, a deep and playful continuing engagement with your life no matter what is happening. These are gifts that Sandy and Alice and Jane brought to this service so that we could bring them to you. It is true that our capacities now are different than they were when we were younger. And it is true that we are more aware of our limitations and our frailties. Many of us have lived through tough times, and we're acutely aware of how beautiful and how precious our friendships and our world and our lives are. You know, the monsoons and the marches and the moments over coffee. I love Joan Chittister's reminder to live every moment both deeply, engaged in the present, and playfully. I loved that idea, that as we age, we have permission to be a little more lighthearted, to hold things not quite so tight with that serious intensity that we have drilled into us, many of us in middle age. And I found myself wondering, so how do we do that, right? In worship or in committee meetings or over dinner at home, how do we playfully and deeply engage in our daily routines? Well, I think the live deeply part is about continuing to care, right? We have to keep caring, not about everything, because it's impossible to care about everything. There's never been a time when we could really care about everything. And so figuring out which things are most important for each of us and continuing to care about those things, family, friends, art, community, the future of our grandchildren, the well-being of our democracy, whatever it is that tugs your heartstrings, hold on to that. Keep caring. Parker Palmer tells a story, and I've got his book up here, On the Brink of Everything, which is his reflections on age. Parker Palmer tells a story about showing up at a Quaker conference when he was new to the faith and was moving into Pendle Hill. And he saw a group of white-haired old ladies all talking off at the side of the room, and he thought, "Aw, Grandma, apple pie, how sweet." And then one of them looked across the room and saw him and made a beeline and bent his ear for many minutes on the conference she had just returned from that was about Native American rights and reparations. And by the time she was done talking to him, she had recruited him to her committee and her cause. And he decided that that's what he wanted to be like when he got old. Staying engaged with the world, with issues and events, became one of Palmer's goals for himself. To live deeply, we have to keep caring about things that are bigger than we are, about ideas and the planet and the future and other people, as well as caring about having a balanced diet and scheduling our doctor's appointments and doing all those other annoying things that have to get done. And in part, we need to do this because staying engaged with other people gives us the opportunity to live playfully. It's way better than complaining, to sort of tease each other a little, to make light of the situation we're in when that's appropriate. Play is one of those things that buoys us up and makes the effortful stuff a little bit easier. My spouse is a physical therapist assistant, and often in his work, but also at home, his response when someone is stressed out is to see if he can get them to smile, right? Crack a joke, say something silly. And it almost always works, even if I hate it when he does it to me. You know, there you go. When the raging grannies dress up as stereotypical little old ladies with the funny hats and the house dresses and sing, they're poking fun at a couple of things. They're poking fun at what it means to be a little old lady and get old, and they are in a lighthearted way playing as they protest the state of the world. They invite that same sense of play and possibility from us. They are showing us that, yes, your outrage is justified. It's right here in the new lyrics that we just wrote. But it's also okay to hold it lightly. Social change is slow, and it's never done, and we are in it for the long haul, and if we're going to be in it for the long haul, we have to move at a pace that makes sense, right? Because you can't just do it in one push and put it down. We don't want anybody to burn out. As we're sorting out how to stay engaged in the issues that surround us and with the people that we care about, how can we do that with a sense of humor and delight? The raging grannies like to sing, clearly. And they don't mind being out in front in public and protesting. But what do you love? How do you play? What makes you smile? There are lots of different ways to be engaged. Maybe you're a visual artist. Can you make handmade postcards to send to our legislators? Can you design posters and banners? Or maybe you're a musician and can make a whole lot of noise with the different drummers, or start a justice choir, or, I don't know, compose a protest anthem. Maybe you can't march anymore. But I bet somebody has a classic old car. And I bet several people could be shoehorned into the back seat with their cowbells, and we could put a sign on the door, and we could get a whole parade of cars around the roundhouse the next time there's an event, ringing the bells, honking the horn, and adding energy to the gathering without anyone having to walk any further than the parking lot here. You get the idea. A little non sequitur, but it connects. I just ordered a new book. It's the UUA Common Read. It's called Social Change Now by Deepa E.R. And it offers, maybe a dozen different essential roles that are needed to create social change. And only 2 of them involve being out and doing political action in the streets. More on that after we read the book together. So staying deeply engaged with ideas and events and playfully connected with friends and community, these go a long way towards letting our lives be meaningful and satisfying as we age. But wait, there's more. Back when my kids were little, I think I've told this story, I had a piece of blue masking tape on my steering wheel on which I had Sharpied the words, "Just drive." And the kids and I used to sing as I was ferrying them from one place to the other. One thing at a time, do one thing at a time. One thing at a time, do one thing at a time. Just drive, just drive. One thing at a time, da, 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 da. It could be just cook or just right. Pacing is really important when you're working full-time and parenting twins. You have to decide every moment what the next important thing to do is. Do you give the preschooler your undivided attention? Do you go take a nap? Do you get the sermon written? There's never enough time and energy to do everything you might want to do. The thing I realized writing this, it's not any different now, right? I still can't multitask successfully. I still need to choose what Wayne Mueller calls the next right thing to sink my limited time and energy into. And when I do that, when I slow down and I consciously choose what I'm going to do next, what the next right thing will be, I have a much better chance, I've discovered, in engaging that particular thing deeply, being fully present, and with kind of a light and playful touch. And I have a much better chance of not missing my exit on the Houston Highway, which was a serious challenge, and not burning the cookies, and not leaving out a key point in the sermon. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for only doing what you can actually do. I think one of the secrets to growing older is to learn to pace ourselves. For so much of our lives, somebody else called the shots, right? Work. You had to be here at this time, and you had to do these things, and your lunch hour was about this long, whatever it was. Someone else called the shots. One of the things that we have to learn as we get older is how to do that for ourselves. What is a reasonable number of things to do in a day? What do we care about most? When I've done this one thing, what is the next right thing for me to do out of the 6 or 14 options that I am aware of? Do the next right thing for you. Do it wholeheartedly, with pleasure and a sense of play, and you will find it makes a huge difference. Sometimes the trade-off is between engaging a few things deeply rather than many things superficially. And even though we want to do more, many of us, even though we used to be able to do more, many of us, there is more pleasure and impact when we do the fewer things that we can do in an intentional and sustainable way. So, as you go about the rest of your day today, and you're thinking about growing older and being bolder, being more confident in the things you're going to choose to do, so the things that you want to put energy into are the things that you prioritize. We invite you to hold on to the following ideas. Keep your sense of humor. Remember your role models. Or look around and find some new ones. There are lots in the room. Remember that you are probably someone's role model. And what would you like them to know about aging richly and well? Stay engaged with the things that you truly care about. Maybe curate your news sources and titrate the amount of news you listen to as you do that, but stay engaged. Stay connected to the people you love, friends, family, neighbors, and pace yourself. Do the next right thing. Do it deeply and playfully, and it will be enough. May it be so. We are going to sing hymn 311, Let It Be a Dance, and you are welcome to follow the instructions and dance if you are so moved. Well, last month there was no program council meeting because it was summertime. And so one of the things we didn't do is we didn't say who from the program council was going to be sharing this morning at the offertory. So if there's someone from the program council who has a burning issue you want to share with us, please let me know and come on up. Otherwise, I am going to just offer up my appreciation for all the effort that our program council members make creating all the program of this congregation. Now, you may not know who they are. Program council includes the worship team. It includes our social justice teams. It includes the folks who do membership and hospitality. And it includes, there's one more, who am I missing? Learning explorations, yes. And we're just about to kick off a new fall season. We met on Thursday last week. So if you're interested in any of those things, learning and justice and hospitality and membership and worship, you can come up and talk to us and we'll get you connected with some of those other folks. And no, you won't have to go to the program council unless you're the representative from one of those groups. We, as a community, are blessed by the enthusiasm and creativity of the members who share their gifts with us. We are blessed to have a space and a budget and friends. And one of the ways we give thanks for the gifts we receive here is to give gifts of our own. So the offering this morning will be gratefully received, and I hope joyfully given. Thank you, Andre, for the beautiful music this morning.
We extinguish our chalice this morning with words adapted from Laura Lynn Bellamy. If here you have found freedom, boldly take it with you into the world. If here you have found comfort, go boldly and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, boldly help one another that they may come true. If you have known love, boldly give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go forth boldly in love and peace.
So before we do our hand-holding benediction, I just want to extend an invitation. If you've ever been sitting in the congregation and you've kind of thought maybe you'd like to be up here sharing the service, we are looking for at least 3 additional worship associates. Come talk to me after the service or send me a text message and we'll figure out a cup of coffee while we sort for whether or not it's a fit. Okay? All right, grab hands with someone sitting or standing near you and repeat after me. There we go. May love and skill be in our hands. May love and courage fill our hearts. May love and wisdom light our minds. May love flow through us and walk among us. As we live our lives and work to heal our world. Amen, shalom, namaste, blessed be. Assalamu alaikum, ashe, aho. Have a wonderful week, friends. Turn and say hello to someone near you. Thank you for joining us today, friends. We hope that you enjoyed today's service. Please take a little time and explore our website and visit our online welcome table if you'd like to know more about us. Otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday morning. Stay in touch and be well.